Hey fellow gamers! This one is going to be probably one for the section gaming blah blah. It is not about a specific game, it's just a topic in general and something where I would like to add my 2 cents to it. I know there's been a lot of discussion going on about it in the last few months and years already. And all I'm going to say is fable. So yes, let's talk about ugly women in games. I have the feeling in the last few years that the game devs are just having a competition on who's going to create the worst and ugliest looking female character. At least that's my impression. From weird faces in Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, which was just to now Fable, but there's been a ton in between. We all know those. I'm not going to go discuss in detail each of those games. We all know which ones are those and how the uglification is proceeding, because it's getting worse.
No boogers.
What I found weird on that is like this trend of bringing realism into fantasy games or games in general. Like, hello, it's fantasy. It's nonsense. Are you going to go back to an author who has written a fantasy book, and are you going to tell him, hey, you have to remove all the wizards and all the magic because it's not real? It's not how it works in real life. We don't have magic. It's fantasy. We also don't have, I don't know, orcs and elves. And it's part of the fantasy genre. It's like, it's just crazy. This trend of having everything realistic. People need an outlet. People need fantasy and sci-fi. They have realism every day in their everyday life. If they come back after a long day at work and they just want to relax, they don't want to be confronted with reality. They had it the whole day. They just want to, you know, escape from it for a while. And that's what fantasy and sci-fi and literature and movies and games were always about. It's about escaping reality, not being confronted by it. So, to be honest, looking at those female characters in the games, if I'm having to play as a female character for XYZ hours, 80 plus or 100 plus hours, I want to be able to look at something which looks good. If I want to see ugly, all I have to do is wash away that makeup, have a party, and then see myself on the next day in the mirror. I mean, I want to see something else than what I see in the mirror every day. Most of us want. I don't want to see myself exactly in a game and replicate myself. No, I want to have a more beautiful or a better version of myself. I want to have like this fantasy creature that can do stuff that I cannot in real life. So that's what the RPGs are for me, for example. You know, even the games which allow you to create your own character. And the devs say, well, you can create a beautiful one if you want to. Not really. In the last few games that I was playing which had this character creator, I have noticed that it starts to be very hard to create actually a good looking character, because even the presets are already ugly. So if you have to work with those presets, it takes you a lot of time to actually tweak them to get some good looking character, and it's getting worse. So it's not like the devs can say, hey, well, you can create your own character. Yeah, if you give me a ton of ugly presets and not one single beautiful one, there's not really much to work with. So technically you are trying still to force me to play with an ugly character. A lot of those people who are screaming for this realism and having realistically looking women in games, usually most of those which I see saying that are not even gamers, or they are not really dedicated RPG gamers. They're not even playing those games. They're just there to complain. And the vast majority of women or female gamers which actually do appreciate beautiful characters are just silent. And I think it's not a good thing, because, you know, those who scream will be heard. And if those who scream are not even gamers or are technically a minority, why should we abide by them? Why should we, you know, have something that majority of the people does not appreciate and does not want? So it's just nonsense to me. And the next best thing is when those who are screaming start to yell like, okay, well, if you want to have a sexy, good-looking character, you are sexist and misogynistic and whatever. I mean, have you noticed that the majority of the mods which are being created for making the female characters in games more beautiful, that those are actually coming from women? Because they are. You just need to go on to a couple of sites where mods are available. I'm not going to name those. We all know which sites those are, but majority is done by women. Why? Because we are tired of looking at ugly mugs, and because it takes so long to actually fix an ugly preset. So we're all having those mods where you can simply easily install those and have very quickly a nice looking character. But if you notice, like I said, it's increasingly getting worse every year with those games and with those presets, and you can see it on the mods as well. Increasingly, for every new game there are more and more and more mods which are fixing the hair, fixing the makeup, fixing the body types, because I don't want to look like a male, sorry, if I'm playing as a woman. That's it. So there's a lot of the issues which are being fixed by mods, and even the amount of mods is getting bigger and bigger, so that's already very telling. And I think for the last 5, 6, 7 years, all the games that I was playing, I did install some sort of mods for the female characters in the game to actually make them look good. Maybe this is not to everyone's liking what I'm saying, it is just my personal opinion, but it's still something which is from a point of view of someone who's already a bit older, who's maybe a bit more traditional. I'm Gen X, so yeah, I am maybe old-fashioned, you might call it, but still that's how I see it, okay? And these trends which are there for the last couple of years are actually also the reason why I've started this channel, or one of the reasons why I've started this channel. Because I would like to show people some older games, mainly the younger people who are not familiar with those games, to show them there is some good stuff out there. You know, yes, of course the graphics will be dated, but there's still a ton of games which are worth playing and which have good values, let me put it this way. On this spot I would like to do a shout out to MugenLord. He's having a channel here on YouTube as well. If you don't know it, I highly recommend to check it out. And he also did not so long ago a vid on exactly this topic, and what I appreciated was that he also has provided a dad's perspective, because he's a dad of a daughter. He's seeing you know, the issues which she's facing as a young female, so I think you should check out his channel if you don't know him yet. And he worded the entire topic, like I said, from a different perspective, but also I think because he's a native speaker, much better than I could ever say. So, in summary, let fantasy worlds be fantasy. Let them be as unrealistic as the author has wanted them to be. Let there be magical creatures, non-existent creatures, let there be beautiful people, and, you know, just accept that fantasy worlds are not real. If you have a problem in distinguishing between fantasy and reality, you have a problem. Not the gamers, you. Basically, that's my 2 cents, that's what I wanted to say. If you have anything to add to this topic, maybe you have some different views on that, let me know in the comment section below. So, as always, thank you, stay tuned, and game on.